Today, the person that you see in the chair that you're seeing on the screen is not the usual person that you see on the screen. I invited Ruchi to the conversation, who's Ankur's life partner and is, I call women, the force behind the brand that is getting built. We will not speak about the 15 million following that Ankur has. We will speak about Ruchi, the human being.
One thing that I think which was missing was direction, which was motivation. I was good at athletics, but something that my school did not encourage and neither my parents. So our constant struggle is how to keep our kids grounded and open to failures and open to boredom.
Welcome to another episode of the Ignite Neurons podcast. Today, the person that you see in the chair that you're seeing on the screen is not the usual person that you see on the screen. Because I reached out to Ankur and I said, I don't want to interview you because the world already knows everything about you. And so I invited Ruchi to the conversation, who's Ankur's life partner and is, I call women, the force behind the brand that is getting built, whatever that brand looks like. And Ruchi, it's such a joy to have you here. And I know we will not speak about the 15 million following that Ankur has. We will speak about Ruchi, the human being. And my hypothesis is that we'll speak about parenting, relationships, and more about that. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me, Utkarsh. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to this conversation because, as I try to do any research on the guest, many guests have some background to them where you can pick up their LinkedIn post or their Instagram and you can find something.
Yeah.
But for you, we had to research Ankur to find things about you. And so it's almost like I'm coming with a blank slate, which is amazing. But the first question we start off the conversation with, to just put us in the deep end, is that if that 8-year-old little girl, wherever that little girl was growing up, whatever she was up to, if she were to come and meet you right now, what kind of a conversation will emerge between the two of you?
So I thought about it, and my childhood was a very normal childhood. Middle class parents, going to a English medium school. I lived in a community, so my childhood was really wholesome. And I had a lot of friends, very good relationships, like from both sides of my family, from my father's side and from my mother's side. So I had a very wholesome childhood, no trauma. So I consider myself now, when I see myself now, that I'm like really privileged to have that kind of childhood. One thing that I think which was missing was the direction, which was motivation. Middle class parents, they did not think too much for ourselves that, they'll give us direction, do this, do that. So in my school also, we went to a normal English medium school. But what I was good at athletics. That's something that my school did not encourage and neither my parents. So if I meet that girl today, I would definitely tell her to pursue her dream and her passion. I was like always into running and playing and everything, and that really excited me. But, I never got any outlet or any direction that I could make something out of that. So yeah, I would tell the 8-year-old girl that, maybe try harder, look for directions, pursue your passion. That would be it.
Bhag, Ruchi, Bhag. For our audience who are not Indian, Bhag means to run. And so that's a movie, Bhag Milkha Bhag. And so I'm just saying, run, Ruchi, run. Very interesting. And even before I kind of share, you spoke about a few things. You spoke about no traumas, right? It's very interesting. So we moved to Australia 2 years ago. And here in Australia, the culture is very different. So my younger one, he's 11. We were coming back from his parent-teacher meeting yesterday. And he spoke about an event that happened in school with a friend. And he said, I remember that trauma I had. And they use this word trauma so fluently and seamlessly that it's such a normal thing to have a trauma. And I think maybe we also had, and I'm assuming we're on the same age band, we also had micro traumas, but they never felt like traumas because that was like if if they give us a tight slap, then that's okay because that was part of growing up in India. But
Absolutely.
here, even such thing is like a trauma. So how do you think the world has shifted from that 8-year-old Ruchi to the current Ruchi to see the world for children and the world in terms of traumas?
Yeah, I think our situation has also changed. Like as a person, I can't see an 8-year-old Ruchi that I was from what I am right now. Like now we are also quite privileged. Our kids are so privileged. So, I can't see myself as what I was or how my parents were at my age. We are at very different stages of life. Right now, I think the kind of schools that we are sending our kids to, the kind of peers that they have, I especially feel that I need to protect my children from that kind of privilege. I don't want to give that kind of privilege to my kids. I really want to give them my kind of childhood, which was wholesome and, failures and, not having everything. But the benchmarks have changed quite a bit. Like AC was a privilege at that time, but now it's become a necessity. So, one has to look at situations from a very different angle. What is basic now was a privilege at that time. So that is a constant struggle that we have, that, how do we keep our kids grounded? And the school that our kids are going to, it is a privileged school. We wanted to send our kids to an IB school. It is because the fees is high. So, you have those kind of parents there and the kids. So our constant struggle is how to keep our kids grounded and, open to failures and open to boredom. Like today, I was having a conversation with my kid. All her friends' schools have opened up, and their school is opening in another 15 days. And she's like, what do I do today? Because, till her friends were around, we also live in a community. So every day, they're going to each other's house, they're playing in the park, they're going swimming, everything. And today, when her friends have gone to the school, she's just bored and she can't deal with it. She's crying. What do I do? I'm bored. I said, it's okay to be bored. She's like, maybe it's okay for you to be bored, but I don't want to be bored.
So true.
So it's a very small example, but that's what they're used to. They are used to constant stimulation. They have constant entertainment or things to do. Like this entire vacation time, around 40 days now for their vacation. Half of the time we were traveling, or they were going to their friend's house, their grandparents' house. So she was like super busy. I don't remember being so busy in my vacation time.
Yeah.
It used to be like maybe you go to your grandparents' place for a few days and then you are back and then you are in your house and, making things work for you. But now with internet, with television, with, things around you and access, you just, there's no time to get bored. The situation has, your creativity dies. That's what I think. You can't be creative because, you have no time to think out of the box. But when we were kids, we used to do so many things because we had a limited means, limited number of toys, limited places to go to. So we used to really innovate. I remember the kind of games we used to play. We used to build these houses with the charpai and, with a blanket on top and make houses, make trains with chairs. I hardly see my kids doing that.
Not at all. Not at all.
So I think, that's the choices and access makes today's kids very privileged and, occupied.
Yeah. No, I think you're making such beautiful points, and there are so many layers to this answer that you just spoke about, Ruchi, that I feel like I can pick any of these. But what is right now in bold for me are these terms: grounded, boredom, and failure. And I'd love for you to help me like zoom out. We're both our parents, right? So my kids are 14 and 11, and yours are younger than that, but in the same zone of when you're once a parent, you're always a parent, right? That does not change based on the age of you're in a different jungle, but you're still in the jungle. So if you were to zoom out, even for someone who's in their 18s and like teens and adults, young adults, 20s, I talk to so many people who feel it is such a struggle for them to stay grounded, to enjoy boredom. How do you still experience it for yourself? Because you are a parent, you are a partner to someone who has a really public life and you have a really private life. So there's almost like dichotomy, right? Yin and yang playing between you and Ankur on the outside. So the inside could be very different. But how do you as an individual ground yourself and play with boredom and see failure for yourself?
I think, our upbringing is such that we are used to failure, and people might feel that because I am Ankur's wife and I have not faced failure or I'm not facing failures right now, which is so untrue. I think the fact that, we've grown up seeing failures and growing up with failures, it's easy for us. It's in our system. And staying grounded is a value that, I think I understood and I cherish, and I've held on to it. That, you have to be grounded. There is no ways that, you can just let your humility, modesty just go around and you're just basking in the glory of somebody who's like a partner of yours, who is so humble, so modest. I don't think so I can take any leeway and, not be grounded or modest. That's a value that, we've grown up with and we've cherished and we understand, and we've just, it is with us. It's one of the most important value system that we have. So that's what I tell my kids. I want two values for you, that you have to be grounded and you have to work hard. These are the two things that I want from you. Tomorrow, if you fail anywhere, because you know how to work hard, you will come up again. And if you are grounded, then you will always stay, very close to your values. Respect, not taking things for granted, not being entitled, not being privileged. That all comes with being grounded.
Love it. I think it's very accurate, and you're speaking about these values. I think what I'm also, and I'm connecting the dots based on what I've heard and seen and read about you and Ankur, is that this has not been this is the life change that the world is seeing did not happen in one night. It happened over time, and so there was a lot of struggle to get to where you both are and you as a family are today, right? So that's a long-term partnership that you've built, and you've seen the failures, and not just for yourself. And I'm just connecting this back to my story as well. Like for my parents, I've seen them fail and succeed and fail and succeed again. And so then when it's a lived experience over time, then it becomes easier to, I think, manage. But those who've not maybe experienced, I think for them, this might still be a hard thing to do. Would you agree? Would you agree to that?
When you were talking about it, it just came to my mind that, our life, people think that we've had a hard life. But truly, I don't think we've had a really hard life. We've been really lucky. With God's grace, we've got things back. I think we've never seen it as a failure. Maybe that's why it has not impacted us so much. We've always seen it as life. So it just becomes easy. I don't think our life has been hard, very, very honestly. We know that life goes up and comes down and goes up and comes down. So, you just accept it. This is how you live. So it doesn't become easy or difficult. Then you don't look at it as failure or success. So right now, maybe this is like a peak in our life, and we know somewhere we will go down, but we know it that we'll come up again. So when you know it, then you accept it, it becomes easy.
Yeah. Impermanence. This too shall pass, because nothing's
Exactly.
permanent.
Yeah. And when you know that, life will go down, then you just become grounded that, it's okay that life has come down. It will go up. That gives you hope.
Yeah. Such a pearl of wisdom, right? So if anyone who's listening to this and is going through a really tough phase in life where it seems like this is the end of it and this is so much pain that I cannot bear this pain, or I've failed in so many ways that this is kind of rock bottom, I think this too shall pass. And what Ruchi and I were talking about is that keep working hard, keep learning from your so-called failures, and you can use whatever word you want to, and then this too shall pass. And if you're at the peak of your journey, whatever that looks like, whatever that peak looks like for you, for some it is measured in followers, for some it is measured in experiences, for some it is measured in bank balance. And so whatever that fulfillment looks like for you right now, stay humble and stay grounded, because this too shall pass.
Absolutely. That is life.
Love it. Let's go back to that 8-year-old. Athletics, that's really fascinating. And this is a time growing up in India where if you talk to someone about being in athletics or thinking of competing, people would not agree to that. So how was that experience growing up?
See, we come from Delhi, and I think Delhi being a rich state, so it had rich schools which were sending their kids out. Maybe my school was not that rich, that we did not get that kind of exposure. Right. Or I think Delhi was not a very sports kind of a city. Now we live in Haryana, Faridabad, and I meet people here, people who have come from like smaller towns like Palwal, and girls, everybody I know was competing in school on district level, at least in different sports. So I think that is like people my age, they were doing the throw ball, kabaddi, basketball, like people I can associate with who were maybe at the same strata as me, but they had more exposure because maybe the state was like that. Their state really pushed kids towards sports. But neither my school, neither the state that I had any kind of access for us. So, yeah, we did not have it at that time.
What that makes me feel is like the environment is going to play a big role in who we become and how we express ourselves.
Absolutely. The environment, the peers are the most important things that, while growing up, peers and environment is very, very important. So for me, the environment changed, how the environment changed. So I did not get like really good marks in my grade 12th. So I was not hoping to go to North Campus. A friend of mine, she got like really good grades at that time. I'm 45 years old. So I'm talking about say 25 years back. So a friend of mine, she got like really good grades and she was planning to go to North Campus. And she said, would you like to come with me? And, I'm going to fill the forms. I said, I haven't got good percentage. So let me just go with her and, just enjoy North Campus and check out the vibe in today's language.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with her and I just loved the vibe there, the people and everything. I said, whatever course I get, I am coming here. And trust me, that changed my life. I went to Miranda House and the kind of people I met, and that's where I met Ankur also. The kind of people I met, the kind of environment I was in, that really propelled me to do what I am today. Because I had like absolutely like any 18-year-old, I had no clue what I really wanted to do. And after college also, it did not give me any direction that this is what I want to do. But I just went with the flow with what everybody was doing. But thankfully for me, that flow was like a good flow. And I reached wherever I. So actually, at times what happens is you don't know where you want to go, but your peers or, the whole environment takes you somewhere which just works for you. Just because it was the right environment, the right kind of peers who motivated you. So it was like a lucky thing for me.
Yeah, this word was resonating, like vibrating in my head as soon as you said it, because luck then plays such a big role, right? Because luck could have taken you to Miranda House, or could have taken you to maybe Mumbai, or could have taken you to Chennai. I don't know. And so, what's after like 25 years, and we'll go back 25 years ago to that. What my sources tell me, that bus ride where you met Ankur. We'll speak about that. But today's Ruchi, how does she feel about luck? Like, how much of a role does luck play in life?
I think 80%. 80% is luck and 20% is your own karma. We Ankur and me, we keep having this discussion. So I have made a theory for myself that so you get like 2 or 3 paths. That is luck. Whatever you choose, whichever path you take, that is your karma. And then you work on that. Luck plays an immense part. 3 kids, 4 kids of the same parents with such different lifestyles, such different lives. It has to do with the big part has to be luck. Because I think the value system will be similar for all the 3-4 kids of the same parents. If not same, but yes, similar. So the luck has definitely a very, very big part in our lives.
Let's break this equation down, because I tend to disagree with this high percent. Like I expected a smaller percent, but so like what I'm thinking is like if we were to define what a successful life could look like, right? Yeah. And we were to define and try and define the ingredients so that listeners could take away something out of this. So right now we are saying luck and karma are 2 ingredients of it, and I'm writing it down as I'm speaking with you. Yeah. But we also spoke about hard work, right? Which is until unless you're on a path and you work hard. Yeah. Oh, so you put that into karma.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's your
karma is the calm that
for your action. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, your action.
So 20% is your action and 80% is your luck.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I was
a laborer. He's working so hard, harder than what I am doing right now. But obviously, my luck has made me what I am, and what we are earning, and the luck that he has made him earn and the kind of lifestyle that he has. So I would not say that, it's only hard work. Most of the people are working harder than me in this world right now, but they don't have half of what I have. So I would just say it's luck for me.
And where would you put choices then? Like the choices that you made along that path, were they
Yeah.
based on luck or were they based on karma? Or is that a third ingredient?
Could be a third. That's a very interesting thought. So where would I put it? Third option or first or second? Choices. When I'm thinking about it, it could be again luck. Could be hard work also. So you can't say. I don't know.
Could we
But I would like
possibly
to
take,
hear
and,
your.
and this is us just thinking through this. Absolutely. So here's where I'm at. So what I'm thinking is like, what if we were to take 50% from both luck and karma and
Hmm.
put that into choice? Because what I feel is like, yes, 40% could be luck
Hmm.
and 10% could be your hard work that you put in, or maybe let's give that 20%. And then the choices or the mindset that which you operate with would be your
Even choices and mindset became you chose to be like that and you worked hard on it. Can we think about it like that?
Interesting. I think so. Because and it would come from somewhere, right? And I was talking to my dad this morning. He's 70 and he loves tennis. And so if he is unable to find a partner to play tennis on certain days, he will take about 100 balls to the court and he'll stand on one side and serve all the 100 balls, then go on the other side and do the backhand. And my mom sent this video to me and he was saying, "Look at your dad, he's going mad." And we are talking about it, but that's where I get the madness from, that I'm going to pursue a path and do it come what may, because that's how it is. And so that's a mindset that happened because of parenting, which again could be between luck and
Yeah, you were lucky to
luck
have
and
such
choice.
parents. You did not choose your parents. You were lucky to have those parents.
I did not. Oh, such a fun conversation. I don't know if we have the answer. I think where I'm going to kind of summarize this too for our listeners is that if you feel that the current environment is not serving you well, then it's time to change the environment.
Yes,
And go
absolutely.
and put yourself in an environment that really helps you move forward.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting conversation. Good dialogue. Let's go back to that bus ride 20 years ago. And I know,
Yeah.
first of all, like it's been 26 minutes we've been having this conversation. What made you, from a very private life, to say yes to this podcast, which will be like a very public entity or asset? What was that shift?
So, I am a private person for the world, but like for my friends, I'm a very open person. And it's a challenge, being Ankur's wife, and he's such a good orator. I said, if I come on screen, I don't know what will happen. So I took it as a challenge. This is something I'm doing for the very first time. And I was a little scared doing this. And I thought, okay, now that I'm scared, let me just do it.
And how are you
So,
feeling right now?
yeah, I'm feeling pretty fine now. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for making me feel so comfortable.
Absolutely. Let's go back to that bus ride. So about what, 26 years ago, 27? I don't know if I'm calculating right, but let's go back.
6 years back. Yeah. We were in second year at that time. So there used to be this university bus, which used to carry kids from, one part of Delhi to the campus, where there were like not couple of colleges, like 10 colleges altogether. So, same kids used to travel in the bus. It's just like, a regular school bus. So only school kids. And you make friends, you meet the same people every day. And that's where I met Ankur. In our second year, we are the same age. In our second year, he started coming in the youth special. In the first year, he was preparing for IIT again. So he would hardly come to college. And in the second year, we met, and I had a huge gang of friends. And we used to play Damsharaj every day in the bus. That's how, so I saw him, and, I noticed that, this boy boards the bus and is in the bus every day. And then we started saying hi, hello to each other. And we became friends. He joined our gang of Damsharadas. And yeah, that's the story.
Amazing. So sweet. So it was not, no one resisted that that this is not the right person for me?
I resisted. I resisted. Yes. So this is the story. So how I like I'd seen him many times in the bus, but when I was sitting on the steps of the bus and I was very tired, and he came and he wanted to board the bus, and he's like, "Excuse me." I said, "Aage se jao," like a boss.
Yeah.
Sir, aage se jao. So he says, it says in. So in the DTC buses, the
Right.
back entry was for entry and
Correct. Out
he
from
said
the front.
in. So I said, okay. I rolled my eyes and then I let him go. And that is the first time I noticed him. And then, because we had spoken, so we started saying hello to each other and became friends. So coming to your question, he was an extremely sweet guy, very, very sweet, very wise, the way you see him. And he would go out of his way to help anyone. It's been his character ever since I've known him. So when I met him, and, I would just feel that, there are two things. Either he's acting, nobody can be so sweet, or he is too sweet. So not for me. So I resisted because I thought maybe he's not authentic. So I could not gauge, where he was. So yeah, for I think a year, or not year, but couple of months I resisted, and then I had to give in.
What a story. What a story. That's amazing.
Nobody will imagine that, I resisted, but
Yeah.
that's the truth.
No. I think girls should resist. I've had a very similar story. Yeah, my wife and I met in college first year, and she and I was someone who was like till school I was like super introvert. Like I would not talk to a girl. And then as soon as I went to college, I was like, this is my switch on button. I'm gonna be a different person. And then I proposed to her, and then she said no. No. She said yes first, and then next day she said, "Oh, that was a mistake. No, you're not the right kind." I was like, "What the hell?" Yeah, I persisted. I persisted very sweetly. Uh, that's so interesting. But
See,
here's
that was hard work.
it was.
Luck got you together, and it was your hard work.
We're back. We're back to that equation. Now I have to think more deeply. Let's see. Here's
If you
right.
hadn't met her, you wouldn't be able to work hard on it. So that's why I said 80% luck and 20% hard work.
But here's then my element of choice and mindset, right? That if she would have said no the next day, and I would have said that's okay. She's someone who's very arrogant. I'm not going to go back and talk to her. Why did she say no? Oh, I'm so hurt. Instead, I was like, oh, she said no. That's okay. Let's be friends. But let's see what else can happen in life. And then so that becomes to me like the mindset of the choice. That she said no, but I persisted. And then yeah, luck absolutely played a role. Definitely. But very interesting. But see, that's another challenge I have with the relationships, right? And I'd love for us to have a conversation about this. Now, the person you met 25 years ago, there are certain aspects of that person that are really fixed, like Ankur is still sweet, Ankur is still helpful, and all of that. But there are parts of that person that change through phases also, right? Different seasons, different kind of a human being comes out. Some people might have challenges, some might not have challenges. So what I'm trying to see is like, what do you think is like a few things that make a relationship tick over time? Because 25 years is a long time of knowing someone. You spend 25 years with a person, and hopefully all of us continue to live together, whoever is a couple, and we live till 80 years old or whatever that number is. And we've spent about 50 years, right, with one person. Now, for 50 years, there are parts of a person that will be fixed. They'll stay sweet, they'll stay humble, they'll say all of that. But based on what kind of season life is in, whether it's very challenging, whether it's very easy, whether it's taking you to different countries, the person might change a little bit also, right? So how do you think you keep a spark alive in a relationship, if that's a good question to ask?
So I think here boredom also plays a big role. Yeah. So we've had a long distance relationship. So Ankur was in the US for 2 years, and then he was at ISB. So we kept the spark alive at that time. So we are used to things like that. Then when we got married, he was in consulting. So he was traveling for 5 days, and he was there for the weekend. So again, I would say we've been lucky that the situation has kept us together in such situations that, we were away from each other. That kept us really alive and wanting each other. And then when Ankur was with nearby, At that time, he was like super busy. He would go in the morning, come back at 9 and 10. So whatever time we would get, we would really cherish it. Now we are together 24/7.
How's that going? Now, let's take a deep pause. Audience, now is the big reveal coming. I love that how from a very serious conversation we just broke into laughter. So what's the reality now? 24/7.
Yeah, so we work from home, both of us. He works from one corner, I work from the other. So we actually just meet for lunch. We have our breakfast at different times and we meet for lunch. We have lunch together. So that is the time we meet. And actually, in this scenario also we have to take out time to meet each other, like have a conversation. Because he's busy with things, I am busy with my things. I also like to do certain things beyond work. So, I'm out of the house for those things. And I think very important is to have your own space and your own life, and also have a common area, common interest that keeps you together. I think that could be a good formula to keep the spark alive. So we make sure that we go for a date every Friday. We go for a Friday lunch without, kids are not around. We don't have to worry about anything. So we do that. We go for vacations together, just him and me. So, and I would say God has been kind that, we've been working for 4 years together and we've not wanted to kill each other.
Love it. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
We handle different parts of businesses. So obviously I handle all the brand collaborations. So for that, I need his approvals also that he would like to do it or not. So we have conversations. One more thing that has made us come really closer in these last 4 years is working together. Because, before that, he used to work so hard and I was in a different setup. And I would say that, what is keeping you so busy? I would not understand. But now that we are working together, I exactly understand what is keeping him busy. So it is easier for me to understand, and it's easier for him to make me understand that, what is keeping him busy. And I think that has really worked for us.
Couple of observations. So first, I think what is playing again and again is that you're so humble and you're so grounded that you, even for the beautiful relationship that both of you have maintained, you put in the first line that luck kept us together. So I think that's why luck is coming again and again. We'll have a separate conversation. We'll not do it on the podcast. We'll have a separate conversation on that.
Okay.
But then what I'm amazed at is that when you get a little bit of time together, instead of complaining for that, why is that time so small? What you're saying is cherish the time. And even when you have really like 24/7 that you can be in each other's heads, you're still meeting for lunch. You're still keeping that time short. That's very interesting. I never thought of relationships like that. That the time that you spend, just cherish that. And it's not about the quantity, but the quality of the time that you spend together.
Absolutely. I think I get this from my mother. I am again lucky to get this from my mother. So my mother would also, there is a disagreement. You just say whatever you want to say and get over with it. And, you start afresh. So I got this from her. So, we don't like really keep the fights very long. We try to, because we have limited time with each other. So we try to keep it like very short. I am a person who likes to express myself. And thankfully, I can like just shut it off there and just move forward. So that also really helps. And
That's
he's
luck?
wife enough. I think so. I'm lucky to have a mother like that.
You're giving all the credit to everyone. I think that's what you've worked upon yourself. And so it's more than luck, it's more karma, more the hard work that you put in.
Anything. It just came with with what you say, the software.
Very interesting. So you're lucky to get the right software, the right version of the software.
Absolutely.
But then has the software updated in the last 45 years?
Yeah. Our fights have become really shorter.
Has your personal software upgraded in the last 45 years?
Absolutely. If I had not upgraded my software, or anyone, it's very difficult to keep pace with a person who's like so popular and so busy. So I had to update software. I had to work on myself. That is karma.
Correct. Love it. Love where we're going with this. So,
Give like full credit to Ankur that he took me with him, whatever pace he was on, he took me with him and carried me with him so that we are all together. So I have to give it to him.
beautiful.
Yeah.
This is where we put like an Ankur photo with a heart sign like that. That's so sweet. That's fascinating. And then how has Ankur changed in the last 25 years?
Ankur. So Ankur was this very, very sweet guy, very humble, very modest, reserved. He would not talk to many people, but now his work has made him speak to a lot of people. And I think he really enjoys talking to people. That's how he's changed. And earlier he would go all out to be helpful to anyone and everyone. Obviously now he's maybe making his circle a little smaller, so he's become choosy, but I'm glad that
Yeah.
one has to do it after a point in time, and especially at the kind of position he is in right now, he has to make himself not there for everyone, because people will, I don't know
Yeah.
how.
Right.
Yeah. So, the circle has become smaller and he's become wiser for sure. He was very wise for a 19-year-old boy that I'd met, but he's far more wiser for a 45-year-old man he is.
I think there are different ways one can upgrade their software. And the upgradation of the software can happen because of, again, challenges that you face, choices you make. Challenges would be based on luck, as Ruchi is saying. So I agree with her. Luck is important. So the challenges will come to you based on how lucky you are to face them or not. And so let that upgrade your operating system. But if you're not getting challenged enough by life, then maybe change your environment to see
Absolutely.
whether that's a job, whether that's a country, whether that's a business, whatever that might look like. And over the years, become wiser, because that's what's very important.
Absolutely. I think it's very unfair to say that for us to become a better person, we need a different job, or we need something bad to strike in our life to make us better. Anybody, whenever they realize they can become better self, and there are so many things that one needs to work on all the time. Like, nobody's perfect. There are so many things that one can work on. So becoming a better person is just a choice. You don't need like that kind of an environment to force you to do that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a choice.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
And again, luck and conscious choice and karma, all three will take you together, I think is what we're saying. Love it. Let's go to parenting, because that's also something that I see a lot of posts that Ankur has now recently started to make that shift, because earlier I remember he would not share about Vidur, or he'll not share about Uzma, right? Did I pronounce the name correctly?
Yeah.
So as parents, who are both of you? And maybe you can speak about you first and then you as a couple.
So as a parent, I'm a very strict parent. When it comes to, I'm a very disciplined person myself. So I like a certain discipline for my kids. Otherwise, I'm a fun parent. Like all my daughter's friends, they think that I'm too strict because I want things a certain way. It's very important for me that my kids know how to work hard. And for that to happen, I am there with them around, so that, I know that, kids have so many distractions nowadays that you need to keep them in line. So for that, if I need to be strict, I will be strict. I don't want them to like me. It's fine. But they need to do what they need to do. They will like me when they grow up. So that's fine.
Very
So I'm a strict parent, and Ankur is a strict parent, but he's more, he gets lesser time than I do, but he spends a lot of time with both the kids in a different manner. But he's more large-hearted, and he would let them spend. He would let them. They will say anything, and ekdam Blinkit ho jayega, aa jayega. For me, very small example. If I have Blinkit, you know what Blinkit is?
Yes, Blinkit is to listeners outside of India. Blinkit is an app that provides you grocery, anything actually, that you can buy within less than 10 minutes. 6 is, I think, the current state, but less than 10 minutes. And by anyway, if you're a listener in Australia, you have to go to a grocery store to buy something, right? So just driving to the grocery store is like 15 minutes. Blinkit will be getting that to your doorstep in like 6. It's mind-boggling, baffling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now you can go on.
Yeah. So if I've blinked it in a day, like once, I try to, blink it whatever I want to buy just one time a day. So I'm like, let's be disciplined. If we need something today and we've not ordered, we'll order it tomorrow. It's absolutely fine. Nothing is happening. But Ankur will be like, it's fine. If they want it, we'll just get it. And so Uzma the other day, she came to me and she's like, I am making acronyms. I said, what is that? So she's like Papa will be P for perfect. A for, I said, A for absolutely gets me everything. That's what she had for. Absolutely gets me everything. And like, I would not do that because I think that, there has to be some kind of discipline. And they need to learn how to wait. So
important.
Yeah, so important. Like for these kids, it's so important for them to learn how to wait. So I would make them wait, but he would not do that. He spends a lot of time in doing things with Uzma. Like she's closer to me.
Yeah.
But he would do things like making Lego, making craft work. He'll sit with her and do it. With Vidur, he teaches him if he needs any help in math or science. So Ankur teaches Vidur. Vidur is 14, Uzma is 8. And so Ankur has got Vidur into a health regime. Vidur goes to the gym. Both of them, they plan their food, how much to take what, how to take it. Like they make a food routine for Vidur. So he spends time in these ways. Vidur and Ankur, they play table tennis together whenever they get time. Vidur is into football, Ankur is not. But table tennis is something that 3 of us really enjoy. 3 of us spend time doing that. Then Vidur, Uzma and Ankur, whenever we go to adventure parks, they go to do similar rides, and Vidur and I, we will go to the roller coasters. So, we have like set defined territories that we hold on to. So I am the stricter parent. Ankur is not that strict. But when it comes to respect, not respecting everyone, then he becomes like the larger parent.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I did not know Vidur is 14. I thought he was younger, but so my elder one is also 14.
14.
And what's very interesting is like when he started to ask me to take him to the gym, the first few months I resisted it because part of me was like, that's my space. I get to go to the gym and enjoy that time. And now, I have to be a parent at the gym also. Like, leave me somewhere. Like, what's happening? And then after a few weeks of resisting, when he persisted, I told him one day, I can go to the gym only in the morning because of work and and you also have school. Will you be able to wake up at 5:30 before school? And he said, I will tomorrow morning. Like, that's not possible. Because for school, I have to wake you up at 8 o'clock to get you to, and in Australia, they go to school at 9. They used to go to school at 9. And so next morning, he's up at 5:25. I'm like, what happened here? And then I was like, let's do it. And so now he's been going to the gym for about 6-7 months with me. And I've started to love that time. He now decides what workout I will do. And so I keep following him across the gym. It's so much fun. But it's such a shift, right? Parenting, because you feel that you need space and then that space gets taken in beautiful ways, but you have to then balance it so that you have space for yourself as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You need space. So we don't go to the gym together. Like Ankur and I, we go in the morning, Vidur goes in the evening. So we are not in each other's space. But yeah, I think they also learn looking at their parents.
Yeah.
That, it just becomes easy. It becomes life for them, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how you live.
This is how you live. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it'll have its own challenges, but this is how you live.
Exactly. Exactly.
Love it. Such a heartwarming conversation we're having. I can go on for like an hour more, but I want to respect your time and then also the time of the listeners. We've spoken about parenting. We've spoken about relationship. I have 5 pages of notes that I've taken and I love everything that you've shared. Now, if you were to go to the future self, 35 years later, that 80-year-old Ruchi, if she were to come to you right now, what advice would she have for you?
Wow. I didn't think of this question. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. You can think right now.
I have a plan for myself. Okay, as I told you, I love plans. So I always work with plans that, I'm going to do this. If this doesn't happen, I'm going to do this. So for like most of the things, I have a plan. So I don't know what advice she'll give me right now because, but I have a plan for a 80-year-old
What's that plan?
myself. Yeah. Can I share the plan with you?
Yes, please. Let's do it.
So I started doing pottery 2 years back, and I thought that I'm a hyper person. So I thought I need to slow down. Now I'm in my 50s, so I need to slow down a little bit. So I started doing pottery, and I do watercolor painting as well. It really brings you together, and it slows you down. You need to do things slowly and wait for the results. So this is a new thing for me, and I started doing this so that I slow down and I have something to look forward to when I grow old and my kids are living their own lives. So these are the two things. Then I love to read. Reading is something that I would like to do more, and I would like to trek. So in my family, Ankur, Vidur, and Uzma, they don't like to trek at all. I love to go on treks, and I have thought for myself now, going forward from next year onwards, I'm going for a trek every year. So that by the time I'm 80, my body is used to it, and that's life for my body, and I'm able to go for more treks at that age also.
Love it.
The level
Nice.
of difficulty can be whatever.
Amazing. So the 80-year-old Ruchi is telling her to start going on treks right now so that when you're 80 years strong enough to go on a lot of treks.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for, summarizing it for me.
See, that's why I'm a good coach. Beautiful. No, thank you for all the conversation and for saying yes and for just opening up a little bit for the listeners to understand who Ruchi is and all the background information that you've given on Ankur. We'll find the juicy stuff and share with the world.
Thank you so much, Utkarsh. Thank you so much for having me here.
Loved it.
It's a different thing for me, talking like this about my life.
Yeah.
Because I generally talk to people who know me. So, these questions made me think as well.
Amazing.
That, what are the kind of answers that I can give, it was not that, I want to give answers which can be valuable for someone, but something that I really feel.
But that's interesting, right? That you gave answers which will be valuable for some people because they'll listen to it and they'll say, oh, let me pick that up from Ruchi. So hopefully this reaches many people. Thank you everyone for listening. If you're listening on a podcast platform, do like, share and subscribe. Put a comment there. And we have to appease to the algorithm gods. So if you're in YouTube, then subscribe to the channel, comment and share with someone who might enjoy this episode. Signing off. Thank you. That's a wrap for today's episode of the Ignite Neurons podcast. If you found value in this, here's what I recommend. Take out a paper or a diary and just put down one thing that you can change about your life because you listen to this podcast. I'd really appreciate if you could share that in the comments below because I'd love to see how it's impacting you or not. If you're on YouTube and watching this, then like, share and subscribe and please make this wisdom go viral. And if you're someone who loves your podcast on the go, then Spotify and Apple Podcasts are your go-to places, or wherever you're listening to this, just like, share it with a friend and leave a comment because I'd love to engage, love to have a conversation with you. Until next time, till we meet again, keep those neurons ignited, stay curious, keep learning, be someone who embraces a growth mindset, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.